Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 4040 podcast, the quality podcast with Mr. Sillydog.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
It's so good to
Uh,
have you here, Mr. Sillydog. I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you, Posse, for having me. I'm a big fan of yours as well.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Sillydog, as hyped as I am to have you here, this is a podcast that's gonna turn your back to the wall and we're gonna ask the hard questions here, okay?
All right. I
Like,
expected nothing less.
alright, which Claymore infusion is your favorite?
I'm a big fan of the simple Claymore. I think it's pretty underrated and powerful.
Alright.
I haven't heard back from Dang It JM whether I'm right or not yet, but
You've applied for
it's
that
definitely the simple
build?
Claymore.
What stats would you use on a simple Claymore?
I don't know, probably like I would probably do like 60 intelligence and then a lot of actual spells that would let me actually be effective because the only thing a simple claymore is going to be good for is the FP regen. So, yeah, I'm just going to hit people occasionally and then most of the time try and, gank mage them into oblivion while they're fighting PvE.
Oh, that's so
It's going to be
nice.
it's going to be good.
Yeah. I can see the video already. All right, Mr. Sillydog, I want to talk to you. I want to introduce you to our audience. If they don't know you, then shame on them. Shame on you guys. You should know about Mr. Sillydog. Mr. Sillydog is mainly a meta invader. He invades everywhere, but he's usually at Gang City or Ring City nowadays. He used to invade at the mid levels, low levels, all over the place. Have you done any max level?
I very briefly tampered with 351 plus. I think the highest I ever went was about solo 400 or so. Got kind of tired of the magic spam, and I feel like in terms of a full invader health bar, about 2 chugs should heal about almost all of it, and that's not really true at max level. So the healing to full health bar ratio is off for me as well, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
did not stay around long with the magic and that weird disparity. So
Yeah. All right. So so far, you've done a lot to help new invaders adjust and adapt to the meta. And I've watched like all your videos, and as I was researching your stuff before I invited you here, I was watching all of your videos actually, and I get the impression that you like to talk a lot about balance in your videos and how to actually help the invader to balance things out to the gank. Is that right?
I'd like to believe I do. I think one problem with being an information-based YouTuber in like 2020
Hmm.
is that most of the people watching are now gankers, honestly, to some degree. So it's to some degree tough for me to make informational content nowadays. And but I try to help out new invaders and teach them how to have a little bit better chance against the gankers. So yeah.
Yeah, and we all thank you for that. I've learned a lot actually from your videos. I've one of my favorite parts is punishing the favor ring glitch and your opinions on. I think it's your most notorious video so far. Your opinions on the Estus recovery, the Estus refill glitch, right?
That and the bow glitch, yeah.
And the bow glitch. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. So I want your opinion on some balance issues, like the stuff that you haven't talked about in your videos, right? I want to hear what you would like to talk about without having, you know, the video limiting you, because in the video you gotta talk about one thing and you gotta revolve around one thing. So what balance issues would you think would need to be addressed most?
Um, all right. This might be a bit of a long answer. Balance issue, I feel like number one is projectiles as a whole. I guess not just magic. I've made a video on magic, but it was quite a long time ago. I think it was my second video, maybe. Um, Magic and projectiles in general. Really, the issue of being able to cause hit stun to another player from far away while you're ganking them. So stuff like even a simple like composite bow,
Hmm.
a simple composite bow when used in the hands of a person at the back of a gank, They have 99 of every type of arrow. That's basically 99 opportunities to hit stun you from far away, and it can combo into stuff that actually hurts, like an ultra great sword. So in Elden Ring, I'd like there to be fewer ranged ways to stagger your opponent, I guess, is my answer. If it has a similar multiple people versus one invasion system.
Although
that's balance issue.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Although we don't want to see the Dark Souls 1 poise system again, because you talked about staggering.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
It's tough to balance it. I'll give it that. But I think reduced projectiles with similar poise system would be a decent compromise, I think. It's actually pretty interesting. I notice whenever I invade nowadays, I notice that my win rate depends almost less on the quality of the opponents I face or the toughness of the gank I face. Well, it doesn't not depend on that, but it depends more on how many mages I encounter while I'm invading. So if I don't encounter any mages, I win a whole lot more than if I do. It's the biggest factor that impacts my win rate, as far as I can tell.
Mages can be the fact that they can do half your health, but I think you were the one who said it. Like mages that can do half your health bar from far away are can cause a lot of problems. But 1v1, they're usually not that good, not because the player isn't good, but because it's a ranged build. You cannot pressure very well from close up, right?
Magic in this game is almost exclusively a passivity or defensive tool, I feel like, in my mind. So I don't know how you would make it more aggressive, but anyway, I'd like to see that to some degree.
So if you could make one category of things that you wouldn't like, would magic be in it? Like
definitely
in its current form, right?
If you ask me if I could remove all magic from the game, going back all the way to 2016, and just have Dark Souls 3 without the magic, I think I would do it in a heartbeat.
All right, thanks for this. So, okay, I was gonna ask you later about this one, but since we're talking about magic, I want some advice for mage invaders and mage co-invaders, and some salt for mage co-invaders, because I got a lot of salt for mage co-invaders.
I think the biggest issue with, I guess, co-invaders, especially at Gank City in general, is that they're all brain dead. But mage co-invaders in particular, they tend to pick the biggest damage spell instead of the spell that pressures the best. So something like Soul Arrow is arguably more pressure than something like Crystal Soul Spear. It's both ends of the spectrum. But Soul Arrow can be spammed. It's very targeted. It only hits one person. So I would guess if I had to choose a roll 60 intelligence mage for a brief moment before, and my spells of choice were like Great Homing Soul Arrow, because it does borderline Crystal Soul Spear damage at much lower FP cost and it only hits one person. Great Soul Arrow, because it's the same thing, but it has faster cast time and lower damage. Farron Dart, or other Great Farron Dart, because it's actually really good for finishing off people. Does really good damage for how cheap it is in terms of FP. And then, I forget what my last one was. Homing Soul Mass. You use it intelligently, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But most people don't. They just cast it. So.
Yeah, they just cast mindlessly Homing Soul Mass and they hit their co-invaders. I have a lot of experience with that, and I bet you do have too.
Yeah.
When I have a mage build, right? I have a mage build at 125. I don't use it for duels. I use it mainly to play with my friends, and I do some invasions from time to time. And the spells I use at that mage build are everything is a melee spell, like the Pharaon's. What was that? The Pharaon Flash Sword, the Pharaon Soul Great Sword. I don't use the vertical one because it's a crystal build. I don't have dark. It's not a dark build. And what I find to be very useful, like when you're alone as an invader, right, is the Soul Great Sword, because it covers a lot of space, and apparently the Crystal Hail is pretty good when you're alone.
I did not know about the crystal hail thing. I did know that a lot of people use Soul Greatsword because it clips through walls,
Hmm.
which means you can basically hit people without them ever seeing you animate until the actual attack is coming through the wall. So that would probably be my fourth choice ahead of Soul Mass. But I'm also just pretty terrible at organizing my what spell I currently have equipped. I'm not a very experienced mage invader, so but I
And
mean
we thank
obviously
you
that would
for
come
that.
with practice.
Everybody thanks you for not being an So okay, I talked about invading alone as a mate. I want to talk about. I want your opinion on invading as on the challenge as an invader compared to the challenge of a gank or or a dried figure alone host. What's the real challenge for the invader?
Um, so if we talk about the dried finger lone host thing, whether we're talking about like hosting in Gank City,
Yeah.
I think it very much depends on what platform you're on. If you're looking for the best blend of like challenge and what it'll be look like for you.
Hmm.
Um, if you're on PC, obviously invading Gank City is extremely hard because there are a lot of hackers and people who can fuck with your save file.
Hmm.
Um, really cause you some problems. So you'll notice if you've ever spent a decent amount of time on Twitch, um, most of the PC meta level streams that aren't just duels are Gank City hosting because, again, they don't want to invade the hacking population that also likes hosting in Gank City. Now, nobody experienced invades Gank City on PC, or not very many people, I shouldn't say no one. The challenge of hosting in Gang City on PC is probably less than hosting in Gang City on PS4, I would guess.
Why
Um,
is that?
Invader Invaders tend to be more experienced and bloodthirstier on PS4, in my experience. I think I haven't played on PC, but I've watched enough streams that I think I can say that for sure.
I can
Um,
second that with exactly the same words. Like I haven't played on PC, I've watched, and I think that the PS4 community is more experienced compared to the PC community.
and then another factor I think is that fewer people truly gank at meta level on PC either, because I would guess there are invaders out there who are salty and will just curse dagger them for ganking. Um, it's a matter of cheat engine, both basically just reducing the population that plays at meta level on PC entirely, regardless of whether that's gankers or invaders. It kind of is unappetizing to anyone who wants to play the game in the intended way.
What about the PS4?
On PS4, I would say, let's see. It's very hard to talk about challenge in this game because to some degree you can change the amount of challenge you want. Sort of like how you can either do a soul level 1 run in PvE or you can do like a normal level run. You can tailor your level of challenge. So you can invade meta level Gank City,
Hmm.
which is, I guess, a soul level 1 run, and then you can invade, I don't know, soul level whatever, mid-level normal levels, invading normal PvE players. So to some degree you can tailor your challenge that way, but even if you do go for the maybe not the highest challenge, I don't consider Gang City at meta level to be the highest challenge in this game.
That would be Ring
um,
City, in my opinion.
I would say soul level 30 swamp.
Oh, we've gone away from the meta completely, right?
Yes,
Uh,
I would say it is the toughest place to invade, but not because the opposing players are good. Meta level Gang City is the toughest place to invade because of the quality of your opponents. Whereas, like Soul Level 30 Swamp is very tough to invade because of build advantages and the fact that you get dumb watchdogs more often.
what's up with Watchdogs?
So
Seriously, what's up with Watchdogs? I guess it's the first auto summon covenant, so
yeah, that's the thing. Actually, on the topic of Auto 7 Covenants, I would really like to see those gone in Elden Ring.
I don't think it will be gone, to be honest.
Uh,
it's there from Dark Souls 1. Well, then again, it's a different game. It's gonna be a different game. But given the interconnectivity that they did with Dark Souls, I don't know if they're gonna ditch it, to be honest. Then again, it would be fun to see it.
yeah, for sure. It's just like I don't know. If you ever spent some time invading at Gank City and then you move to Ringed City, you'll notice that the invaders at Ringed City tend to be a lot better, in my experience. Largely because at least they have to choose to invade. They know what they're getting into to some degree, whereas you can just get Aldrich Faithfuls who are like, oh, what am I doing here? I guess I'll kill the red guy who I've always killed in my world. They're just confused.
Yeah. Oh my God, I really hate that. One thing I forgot to say about before, I had a. Now I've deleted most of my footage, of my stock footage, but I had tons of footage of Aldrich Faithfuls and mages killing me. Uh, Either because they're, because mages are mages and the autolog system works the way it works, or because the Aldrich Faithfuls are being themselves, you know. And I was thinking of posting a video some time ago about just a montage of me getting ganked by co-invaders and gankers because the co-invaders are clueless. But I got so annoyed watching that video that I just completely deleted the whole thing. Deleted the footage. I just did, yeah, like it wasn't worth it.
It would be a long and interesting montage. Oh man.
Your opinions on hosting alone?
I've already made a video
Yeah,
where I
yeah,
hosted
I
alone, I
know.
suppose, but I guess to briefly sum it up, I didn't like killing the PvE.
Hmm.
PvE was annoying. Um, if you use an aggressive setup like a curved sword or herald and hand axe, or probably even just anything with an offhand hand axe, um, it's pretty easy to dispose of invaders quickly,
Hmm.
which prevents it from being anything more than a series of fast-paced duels where you kill people quickly with 30% more HP and double Estus. Um,
Yeah.
now, the Aldriches or one good invader who you can't dispose of quickly, then it can be pretty challenging because unlike Gang City, there's never, or invading Gang City, there's never any backup on the way. But I don't know. It's sort of a weird dichotomy between very easy moments and then very difficult moments. Whereas I don't know. I guess to some degree that's true of invading Gang City too, right? So
Yeah. Have you ganked
uh
actively, like actively ganked?
I
I'm not talking about
uh
spending months ganking. Like, have you ever booted up the game and said, okay, today I'm gonna gank the shit out of invaders? I've done it. I've ganked. I've done it just for the heck of it, and because I wanted to see the other side, because ganking is way more relaxing than invading, and everybody knows that. I mean, you don't have the pressure to always be on the edge of your seat while you're playing. You can have your butt buddies back you up.
yeah, I would assume that's why a lot of people do it, right?
Hmm.
Um so one time I don't really is that no, I don't. I haven't really ganked, at least not at Gank City. I did once gank at Meta Level Ringed City. Pincognito, Vapid Raptor, and I don't know if you know any of those
I
people,
know, yeah, I know all
but
of these guys.
we decided to dried finger and run through Ring City, just the three of us with Way of Blue on. We decided we were going to do a sort of scientific ganking experiment, I suppose. We got a little shit from a few members of the community for it, but whatever. Anyway, it was kind of staggeringly easy. We got invaded by several bad players, but we also got invaded once by Slackjaw Slim,
Hmm.
interestingly, and it was just kind of sad because like even an invader who's really really good like him uh didn't stand much of a chance against the gank because it was just it was too easy, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that was my maiden experience with ganking.
uh, I love dried finger answering city. I really do love, me and a couple of friends. But we're always humoring the invaders. We're not staying back. We're playing the whole map. We're not gonna hold back. And it's fun if you're playing with friends, I guess. If you're in a party and you're talking to each other, I don't know how to say that. It's not like camaraderie, but you're playing a game together. And it's fun, in my opinion. It's not the most ethical ways, because mainly for us who are mostly invaders, right? And most of the people who are watching us right now are invaders. But it's not the most ethical of ways. But I think it's a fun break from time to time, and I'm not gonna shun on it. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, guys. I'm not gonna shun on it, and I'm sorry, Mr. Sillydog.
Not a problem. Yeah, it was definitely quite relaxing. So I get why people do it. But it was not very hard. And to some degree, in when you talked about dried fingering through Ring City, and I do like that. I think it's a lot of fun. But I find it hard to tailor the challenge so that it's like either I play extremely aggressively and lose Estus really fast and die quickly, or I don't play aggressively at all, and then the invaders can do borderline nothing. So it's hard to find. It's hard to find a Goldilocks place, like a happy medium. Not too aggressive, not too passive, somewhere in between where it's fun for everybody, but it's still challenging to some degree. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, what would you say would be your favorite setup and the most efficient of setups?
So I used to be all about that Herald and Hand Axe life, I think. Mocha's build, which now gets attributed to me, which is kind of funny to me. But anyway, I used to be all about that Herald.
I bet Mocha is somewhere right now, saying, "Oh no, dude, that's mine." No, I'm kidding.
It's mine. I invented it. It's all mine. Sorry, Mocha. Suck it. Anyway, I guess I used to be all about the dark build. But nowadays, to some degree, I feel like players have gotten good enough, and the connectivity in game often has gotten bad enough that with a weapon as slow as a curved greatsword, it's hard to hit confirm on people with that weapon. And that means that I often swing twice when I won't even get a hit confirmed the first time, meaning that essentially I'm exposed to the other gankers, and to some degree I'm exposed to like magicians, mages, people who are gonna shoot me from far. So curved greatsword kind of locks me in place for too long nowadays, I feel like. So instead of going dark build, I've been usually running quality 40-40 Gales, and PKCS are my bread and butter. Also Ring Knight straight sword, but anyway, yeah, that's what I usually go with nowadays.
You just earned a lot of points in my heart for going 40-40.
So yeah, the two main advantages that quality has over dark, in my opinion, are Gales, which is longer than Dark Claymore, and has that nice 3-hit true combo and strike damage. Actually, 2 3-hit true combos, and the one off the fully charged R2 is actually more fun in my opinion. But anyway, and then the other advantage is Pontiff Knight, which is longer than Scimitar. So those are the two main advantages that quality has over dark, in my opinion. It's not the Black Knight Greatsword, sorry. But yeah, so those are my bread and butter weapons nowadays. My quality build used to only use those two weapons, and then I decided to diversify a little bit, but still my bread and butter.
Are Ultra Greatswords obsolete? I mean, Ultra Great Hammers are not that good anymore due to the latency issues that you just talked about, but are Ultra Greatswords obsolete? The horizontal ones, at least?
I mostly use them as riposte tools, and actually for dueling. I think they're more fun to duel with, considering, I mean, if I encounter someone with a curved sword, like, I remember distinctly on stream, a few weeks ago, I don't stream that often, but I did then, I encountered someone while I was using an Ultra, who was using a Reven Scar, Fire Surge, Black Flame R1, all that stuff. Fight Fire Surge with an Ultra. Let's put it that way. So I pulled out my Pontiff Knight, but for the most part, I would say that dueling with Ultras is quite a lot of fun. It's a nice change of pace, and there's no chance of getting blasted from behind whenever you take a 2-hit true combo by a Crystal Soul Spear or whatever. So
I can second you on the Gale's Greatsword, and I would say that Greatswords are far better than any other weapon class in terms of invading. Great swords and the Pontiff Knight curved sword for roll cutting and punishing and stuff. But great swords seem like a good weapon class now that I'm saying that because I see a lot of people playing with great swords. Now that the game has been out for 4 years, and I mainly see greatsword builds. Have you noticed that, or am I biased?
No, Dark Claymore is probably one of the most common weapons in game. Probably right behind Dark Lothric Knight sword. So
that's a nasty weapon too. There's a lot of options. Actually, there's a lot of options in this game. Thing is, some are clearly better than others, and latency plays a huge part in this. People wanted us to talk about latency because they feel like latency is a huge problem nowadays, because you find less people from your area, from your region, and you're playing usually from people overseas, and there's bound to be latency between you, and it's not always because the infamous Brazilian lag, because shout out to our Brazilian Souls players. We love you guys. We don't have a problem with your latency. But the latency is a huge issue nowadays, and it's a big turnoff for me too.
Yeah. So yeah, greatsword is the hyper armor weapon that leaves you least committed, I guess. I guess I don't really count glaives or maces, or hammers. No, they're not called maces; they're called hammers. But so yeah, that's why I think it's so good. Super fast acting hyper armor, low commitment, even if you swing twice. Yeah, they're just a really good weapon class. Two-handed greatswords, probably the best all-around invasion class in the era of latency. But anyway,
yeah. Okay. You talked about setup. Some people believe, and I too believe that too, that hardswap is the true meta nowadays. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of people try to organize this game into a tier. Well, I guess duelists try and most notably organize the game into having a tier list, right? Curved swords are better than daggers. Daggers are better than straight swords, etc., etc. But I think to some degree that is very much not true for invasions. Not because ultra great swords are better than the Pontiff Knight curved sword for invasions, but more because various situations require various things in invasions. If you need to pressure someone, you can't really do it with a great sword because they're extremely defensive. They're an extremely defensive class. It's very hard to pressure people with a great sword. They're best at keeping people away from you, not getting in other people's space. If you want to defend against 4 people, a spear is probably not going to do it. So at the end of the day, the truest invasion meta, the highest thing on the tier list, is taking what weapons are good in which situations, and then using them where they're applicable.
What about I'm gonna get some heat for that. What about the Gundir's charge?
Oh, the Gundir's charge. A lot of people call it boring. It's undoubtedly very effective. I cannot argue with that. Hard swapping to Gundir's is scary. I still don't know how to avoid that thing because 90% of the people who use it are Brazilian. We love you, Brazil, but man, it is hard to avoid your Gundir's charges.
Yeah.
So a lot of people call it boring, but to some degree, I wonder if that's just a part of people disliking the meta because they lose to it. Because I've seen that a lot. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's not particularly well balanced, but if you find it fun, it's not really the most broken thing in this game for sure. So use what you find fun at the end of the day, I guess is the answer.
That was very diplomatic of you. You said, I'm going to hold on to one word, right? You said it's not the most broken thing in the game. What would you say is the most broken thing in the game, besides magic in a gank?
Okay, so there are a lot of people have a lot of different answers to this. Mm-hmm. I've heard people say the Ring of Favor glitch because the Estus refill glitch is bad, but obviously at the same time, the Ring of Favor glitch allows you to get in a position where you can actually refill your Estus, and otherwise, the gank could just chase you down and you would never catch up. Other people do say the Estus glitch because it means an invader essentially has to get blendered from 100 to 0 in order to die, because otherwise they have infinite healing. At meta level, the most broken thing, the bow glitch. Not because of its potential for double Crystal Soul Spear or whatever, but because it has potential for holdable spells. If Lightning Arrow and Old Moonlight weren't in the game, the bow glitch would not be that unreasonable, but because they allow for holdable spells, it's a real issue, which kind of just makes Oddstarve's suggestion that every spell should be holdable even funnier. Below meta, it's definitely the downscale glitch, because at soul level 60 plus 6, your odds of killing a soul level 802 Phantom plus 10 are just 0. They have 2000 HP. There's almost no way you're going to kill them.
They have resistances, they have the options to use anything they want, and you can go from 100 to 0 in not in a blender, but like in a 3-hit combo or something, like a straight sword.
A 2-hit combo even, yeah.
Really? A 2-hit? I haven't seen that happen to me because I don't invade at low levels, but I'll take your word for it.
With an ultra great sword, sure. If you only have, say, 30, 35 vigor, yeah, sure, why not? 800 AR ultra great sword, 2 hits, sure. You have low flat defenses because, again, it's low level. Downscale glitch, and at the end of the day, all you've got to kill them with is like a +4, +6, +8 weapon. It's just not going to happen, probably. They're going to have to be really, really bad, and you're going to have to play really, really well.
Yeah, and they have to make... I was watching one of my favorite videos of yours, how to beat the meta gang, and you were saying that they have to make a lot of mistakes, and they have to make big dumb mistakes. And I believe that in order to beat non-downscaled phantoms, the gang has to make a lot of mistakes, like be separated and making poor options in terms of matchup, like fighting your curved sword, like the Pontiff curved sword with their ultra great sword and stuff. They have to make mistakes.
Oh, 100%. It's just is that even if they do make a lot of mistakes, they have to make a lot of them right in a row in order to die, because you can make maybe for better or for worse at meta level, you usually die in 5 to 6 hits at most, maybe 7 if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
It's not true of low level, so you can play really, really well for 7, 8, 9, 10 hits, but if you make one mistake in terms of pressure, they can get away and heal up twice, and then their friends are coming. So anyway, low level affords more mistakes for better or for worse, and yeah, it's hard to kill a gank with an overleveled phantom, non-downscaled.
Yeah, it's a different game than what it was a year ago, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. The entire atmosphere of the game has changed to some degree. The new meta is glitches, Estus cancel, bow glitch. I don't know if the attitude towards the game has changed. Maybe it has to some degree. People are more divided, partially due to the glitch usage. I've noticed views on YouTube are lower, overall, just for everyone. And I wonder if that's because people have lost interest in this game due to the glitch. Anyway, it's just the community has definitely polarized and changed in the last year for sure. Yeah.
My interest in the game died when the bow glitch came out and the non-downscaled glitch came out. I have to be honest here. I'm not saying that I don't play the game anymore, but I'm not as invested as I used to be like 6 months ago before the glitch came out.
I would definitely agree with that. I took a couple months break. I know Amish did. I know Swirlio did not play, has barely played since then. But yeah, just a lot of diehard invaders have quit the game because of the glitch, I know. The glitches, more accurately. So, community is smaller than ever. Co-invaders are worse than ever. I feel like there was a happy moment in time where a lot of the co-invaders you got at Gank City were actually pretty good. Like, not there were always going to be dumbasses, but at the end of the day, there were a good number of co-invaders that were actually good because not enough noobs playing the game to overwhelm the number of good co-invaders, and the good co-invaders were still around because they were still trying hard and they had reason to do so. But then when the glitches came out, I think they lost their reason to try hard and yeah, just kind of quit. And now it's all just really bad co-invaders. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm I'm uh, I'm very well known for my beef against bad co-invaders, and I'm gonna agree with everything you said. So how do you? Okay, I'm gonna say just a short story, and I would like. It's just the fuse to get some answers from you. Okay. So there's these people that started playing the game, because the game is on sale every couple of weeks, right? It's like $15 every couple of weeks, and there's a lot of new players coming. Not everybody stays, but there's some people staying, and usually I don't want to say casuals. I'm gonna say virgins, Dark Souls virgins. They start with ganking. Most of them start with ganking. Not everybody starts with invading or dueling. And I met some people who were ganking, and at first they started disconnecting. When they were left alone, when they couldn't see, when they saw that they couldn't beat the invaders, they dropped themselves off the map in order to not give the invaders the satisfaction, etc. And I was talking to this ganker, and he was because I did the Quakestone combo, the weapon art to the jump attack,
yep,
and
absolutely. Yep.
he got hit by that, because he panic rolled because he was new, and he said like, "GG, you were the guy with the Quakestone." Said, "Yeah, right," and he says, "Yeah, I like playing for fun. I don't." Meanwhile, I knew he was a guy who was disconnecting, right? He said that I play for fun too. I don't mind winning and stuff. Because I told him that before he told me about that, and I said, if you care about winning, why do you if you don't care about winning and you play for fun, why do you disconnect? And they said, because I don't feel that they deserve the win. And anyways, next time I saw them, they were dueling. They were honor ganking me, the stuff, and. I told them to gank me normally, and that they did. And then he sent me a message and said like, "Is it better now? Do you like that?" And how do you convince these people to not change their ways, but to play for fun? Because not a lot of people play for fun. Most people play to win, and that's acceptable. But I think there should be a line, shouldn't there?
I think it's at the end of the day, you're going to have a really hard time of convincing anyone of anything over the internet. Online interactions don't have the same humanity and face-to-face value
Yeah.
that in real life interactions do. The only way that someone is going to come to terms with your perspective and is going to agree with your perspective to some degree is if they try something out for themselves and find out they like it or agree with it. That's how most people who hate invaders and then become one, that's how they do it. They initially they're like, "Oh, fuck invaders." They're just looking for easy wins and to grief people, and then they try it themselves and they find out they like it too. So only through individual experimentation, I think, are people really going to change. I've spent too much time on Reddit trying to convince people, so I I think the best thing you can do is just tell them to try it out for themselves. Maybe they'll learn to love it. Maybe they won't and they'll quit. But they're not going to understand. Yeah, they're not going to understand what it's like from you telling them what it's like. I don't think they'll only understand what it's like if they try it out for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Are invaders a dying breed? I mean, the PvP community is a dying breed, because you said over at Reddit that we agreed that most of the people are PvEers or challenge runners, or people trying to get through the game. Would you say that the PvP scene in DS3 is a dying breed?
Is it dying? I think to some degree it's been semi dead for a while now. The only people left are the remnants who are still playing this game,
Yeah.
still enjoying it. But To some degree, the invasion community has always been a little subsection of DS3. You watch a challenge run on Twitch, and it has 2,500 viewers. And then you watch an invasion stream on Twitch, and it has, 200 viewers? Maybe 500 if Saint Riot is having a really good day. So I think to some degree, just because everyone plays PvE, but not everyone does PvP, the invading community has always been a smallish subsection. But are we dying? Yeah, it's 4 years into the game. I'm not sure we're getting any more dead, but at the same time, we're definitely not growing, I guess is the best way to say it.
What drew you to the PvP scene? What drew you to invading? What was the appeal?
So this is actually a part of why I didn't much like Bloodborne invasions. Co-invading, I think, is the biggest thing that I really liked about PvP in particular. So my first exposure to Dark Souls 3 PvP was Ouroboros and Peeves videos in Gank City, where it was 2 people against 4, and they were all different colors, and maybe I just have a childish mind, but the fact that, pretty colors, ooh. Yeah. I liked the idea of a war between 3 people and 3 other people, and I didn't understand any of the mechanics, but I liked the idea of people from different, covenants, I guess is the superficial way to say it, but people from different walks of life teaming up together anonymously to fight each other. Multi-man versus multi-man PvP, and Bloodborne doesn't have that unless you have a very, 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 very unlikely situation. So, my first Souls game was Dark Souls 2. Played Dark Souls 1 after that on PC without DS fix, so Blighttown had about 4 frames a second, but we made it.
I've been there. I've actually been there. I started with Dark Souls 1 without DS fix, so yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, it's a rough experience, but anyway, yeah. So I went to that, and then I played Bloodborne. Did not do any PvP in it. And then finally bought PS Plus for Dark Souls 3. But then I went back to Bloodborne, obviously, with the free month when it was free on PlayStation Network, and tried out PvP. There were a lot of balance issues, a lot of cool things about it, but overall I think it was the lack of co-invasions that really killed my interest in it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bloodborne is more of it's not such a duel game, it's more of an invasion game, I would say.
Hard to say. It's to some degree not either, because it's really hard to find invasions, and there are a lot of really, really poorly balanced things about invasions. But then on the other hand, in duels, you have to do heal duels because, otherwise they'll just 3-shot each other and then be back to searching for a resonant bell. But then additionally, no matter how you duel, one party is always going to be at a health disadvantage. So there's no such thing as a fair duel in Bloodborne, really. Not a good one, at least.
Yeah, you're right. You said something before that. You said that you were drawn to the pretty colors. Can dogs see colors?
I actually don't know. I think we're red green colorblind. Hard to say. I'm not too brushed up on my own anatomy that well.
So you were saying about people from different covenants coming together and fight each other, and that reminded me. Oh God, I'm gonna tell a lot of short stories. I don't want to steal your thunder. It's you're the guest of the podcast, but as
no, go for it.
Okay, thanks. And I was talking with a friend of mine, Spec. He's a duelist. He uses an ultra great sword. He only uses ultra great swords on duels. That's his thing, right? And we were talking today, and he was telling me how Miyazaki came up with the idea of strangers helping each other, and it was at Demon Souls. He was going up a mountain with his car, and he didn't have what do you call that? The things you put on the wheels of your car, on the tires, so you won't so you won't drift in the snow. Like
Like
chains.
treads?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, chains, sure.
Yeah, and he didn't have chains on his car, and the car started drifting backwards, and he was falling. He was going up this big slope. He was climbing up the slope with his car, and his car couldn't go up the slope. So he tried to brake, but it wouldn't stop. And there was another person behind him, and Miyazaki said, "I'm sorry, I will hit you." And the other person said, "It's all right, come back slowly." And when the car starts, the stranger pressed gas to help Miyazaki climb the slope, and there were another two people behind them, and everybody helped each other out. And that's how Miyazaki came with the idea of strangers helping each other out. So I can relate to that. I think I can relate to that impression you got when you saw people from different covenants fighting along each other, like comrades out of nowhere. And I think that's the big strength of the Dark Souls games. The camaraderie out of nowhere, where you got strangers helping you out.
That's why people like Solaire so much. I do not like Solaire, but people
What?
love him
Okay, guys,
because
the podcast is over. Mr. Sillydog will leave now because he doesn't like Solaire. How dare you? How dare you not like Solaire?
he's the first ganker.
Come on.
But no, that's why people like him, right? In a world as distant as Lordran, he's like a shining beacon of hope. He's a good thing in a shitty world.
Yeah.
That's why people love him. He's a beacon of hope in a world of darkness.
I've said that before. I'm gonna say it again because we have to give credit where credit's due. You've helped a lot of new invaders with your videos and a lot of veterans with your videos. I've actually watched a lot of your videos and found out that there's things you say and there's some inputs that you give that always help even veterans. Like veterans, I'm not like I'm a veteran in terms of I've played the game a lot, and you help draw people to the meta. I've watched some of your comments of people thanking you in their like saying, "Oh God, thanks for this advice." And I think you talked about one video. You talked about the Corvian Great Knife, on how it's the longest dagger and how it's better about hard swapping too and stuff. And like it's advice like this that you give that helps a lot of invaders come to the meta. What advice would you give to invaders to handle the losses?
I guess this is going to be a weird answer, but the easiest thing to do, or the best thing to do, in my opinion, in order to help you handle the losses, is to view your opponents as human beings who are trying to have fun in their own way, and who probably, well, there are obviously some assholes who only play the game to make other people not have fun. But once you, because of the internet, it's easy to get disconnected between the person's character in game and the person they are in real life. So the easiest thing to help people handle losses and not get salty, which you could use some help with, Sodium Chronicles, man, is to realize your opponents are other human beings who are playing the game in their own way to have fun, and to always try and find something that you could have done better personally to improve your chances of winning.
Okay, so how do you improve your chances of winning?
How do I improve at this point?
What advice would you give to someone who wants to improve? I mean, besides the usual, try to get better, try to practice and stuff. I mean, something they can grasp on. I'm putting you against the wall here. I'm sorry.
No, we can work with this. One option, actually, I'll give you two sort of vague answers. One option is to record your footage and watch it back again, and isolate where you took damage and why. And isolate where.
Solid advice. That's very good
advice. And isolate where you were able to deal damage and why. That's why Saint Riot started, putting out videos on YouTube, because he wanted to see moments where he could play better. He wanted to see moments where he had played badly and see what he could have done to correct that. So that's advice piece number one. Record yourself. Send it to I Am Amish for viewer submitted invasions. um, and then advice number two is to put yourself in tough situations. Fight against good players. Fight against hard ganks. Easiest way to learn is to fight situations that you can't handle, and then learn to handle them. Yeah, I think that's my best answer.
Mr. Sillydog, what if I die to the gank? What then? What if I die to the gank?
Hit the red eye orb again. Persistence.
This is gold, guys. What Mr. Sillydog said, I kind of felt that you would say that. That's why I asked this question. This is gold, Mr. Sillydog. Thank you for this. No, you're right. You're right. Go on. No, don't let me interrupt you.
At the end of the day, it's one death, right? Yeah. You lose some souls. No one cares. You don't lose your ember. You don't lose. Well, you lose a cracked red eye orb if you somehow haven't found the full one. But at the end of the day, you know, it's one small encounter in the great void that is Dark Souls 3 Invasions, and you'll probably have forgotten it by tomorrow if you lose. Or maybe you won't, and then you should probably, chill out. But
yeah, unless you're me, you will keep the footage and post it on montage of you losing.
You'll brood over it for months.
Yeah. He said something. The first piece of advice was really good, actually. How watching your footage, and Amish said something. Do you know that scrub, Amish?
I think I've heard of him once or twice. I'm slightly aware of him.
Yeah, he's a good guy, I think. So Amish said something in his videos how uploading videos of him playing and the comment section helped him improve, because people gave him advice and the players approached him and taught him more things that gave him some insights, gave him some inputs, and I think what you said is really helpful. Like, watch your videos or even post them actually, and ask for advice and stuff. It's not bad to ask for advice, is it?
Oh yeah, 100%. There's a saying: if you're the smartest person in the room you're currently in, you're in the wrong room. Basically, it means that you should always be in a position in life where you should be learning from other people and trying to get better based on them. Now, I guess maybe for the smartest person in the world, then you have no one else to learn from. But I'm not, so I can always working on it. So yeah, always put yourself in a position where you can learn from new people.
Do you get salty?
Infrequently. Co-invaders mostly. Co-invaders can drive me crazy. Gankers, not really anymore. I used to a lot, but at this point I've kind of, I don't know. I understand are playing for fun in their own way, and I can't really judge them for that. So unless there's a ganker who is obviously, to me, playing strictly for the purpose of making other people have a worse time, then I don't get salty.
Yeah.
Yes, you know people who are just playing to be annoying. Anyway.
I got one more question. What are the challenges of being an informative YouTuber in Soulsborne in 2020?
So one of the big issues is that a lot of the topics have already been pretty much completely covered, right? If you search up any weapon PvP, you can find like 4 or 5 videos on it. I'm planning on doing a video soon on a very, very specific aspect of a very, very specific weapon, if I can ever get footage of it. But basically, every topic has been covered. Instead of making, hey, do staggered R1s with a greatsword, now you have to make, hey, if your co-invader has ever been reposted and has a sliver of health left, but you're right by them and you can do something on wake up, what do you do? It's a lot more specific niche situations that aren't generally applicable. So coming up with new video ideas, I know like Skitter the Tryhard no longer makes videos because he ran out of things to talk about. Saint Riot pretty much no longer has things to talk about. So it's hard to come up with new topics that will still be interesting to people. At this point, I basically just put out really stupid videos like what it's like to invade naked, or
Oh,
what it's like to invade fat rolling,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. It's like limit breakers level of useless information, but it's technically informative. So it's exploring stupid depths that no man has ever gone to before.
So you would say that now a lot of your stuff would be about specializing in very particular areas of the game, even if even if they sound silly, right?
Yes, 100%. There's no more general topics to be covered in terms of Dark Souls 3 PvP. Everybody's done it, or somebody's done it better. Um, One thing I do before I make pretty much any video is Google it on YouTube or look it up on YouTube and see if I'm like satisfied with the quality of any videos that have been put out on that topic. And ideally, there are no videos that have been put out on that topic, but I want to make new content that actually says something new instead of just weapon showcase, Lothric Knight Straight Sword number 50,000. Anyway, yeah.
Boy, are you dissing on me for the Valor Heart showcase? Are you doing that seriously right now?
Oh no, I didn't. No, that was not my intention. No,
Because I put out like 10
no.
videos about Valor Heart.
Well, to be entirely fair, your content qualifies as like new or revolutionary in that you do it better, especially in Valorheart's case, than a lot of other people who have showcased quote unquote Valorheart, in my opinion. So anyway,
Oh, thanks for that.
yeah, no problem.
So, from what content creators do you take inspiration for your videos, and who do you look up to? What like who do you want to look like? Who's your favorite? I wouldn't say your favorite. Like who are some of your favorites YouTubers, and who do you take inspiration from?
So in terms of content creation, I'm sort of going for I like Nif a lot. I think Nif made some really, really good videos about what it means to be a tryhard, what it means to be, good at the game. He made some really interesting commentaries. Um, anyway, him and then also Scott Junt. Interestingly, I think Scott did a really good job of. He wasn't always right 100% of the time, but he also didn't really pull his punches by saying, "Oh, this thing is, Smo Hammer. It's you can use it, and as long as you're good enough, you'll be top tier with it." He told it very plainly and very truthfully, and had a level of it was like a weird mix of seriousness and non-seriousness. He was willing to shitpost. He was willing to mess around, but he never lost sight of what was true, I don't think. So I think Scott Jund and Nif are probably like my two biggest inspirations in terms of creating content. And then in terms of people I like look up to, in terms of some of my favorite people to watch, I really, really like Korean Bull Cuts' streams on Twitch. He's probably one of my favorite invaders to watch. He's very, very, very good at the game, first of all. But I think more importantly, he has a level of chill and just relaxedness towards the whole thing that you don't encounter in a lot of invaders. A lot of invaders are, I don't know what they are. It's hard to find a mix of skill and chill nowadays, I guess.
Yeah.
So I like Korean Bull Cuts. There are other people who are chill on Twitch. Rusty Greatsword is pretty chill.
Yeah.
Pincognito is pretty chill. And then in terms of like YouTube content, I mean, there are more people than I could list, right? There's like, Mocha, Posse, Mook, G1370 makes great montages.
Oh, yeah.
He's an awesome guy.
Yeah. He's in the
Sticky.
He's at the Combo Brigade.
Yeah. G9. I mean, there are Amish, of course. Just there are so many people out there who make great content, and I watch all of them. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess my best advice. I don't know who will be watching this, but if there are people out there who only watch the big YouTubers, I would say check out hashtag DS3Tube. Um, Not because it'll help you discover my videos, but because there are a lot of small content creators out there who make really, really good content um,
I agree.
that can rival, if not surpass, the big YouTubers out there, in my opinion. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like from this 3tube, from hashtag this 3tube, I found this guy. His channel is called Gorby Souls, two words, and he made this awesome vampire build. He uses the twin daggers and the old wolf greatsword on his back, but he's not using it for damage. He's doing bleed stuff, and he's using it for the glitched health regen. You know, because the old wolf has a glitch at the health regen. After a while, like after 4 heals, it heals you fully. So
Ah,
he puts on iron flesh. He walks up to the gank and just spams L1, and it's so funny. Yeah. I think I'm gonna link the video in the comments.
all right.
All right.
Sounds really good.
Yeah. I want to thank you for coming to the podcast, and if there's anything you want to say to our viewers, something inspirational or romantic or whatever, now this is your time.
Mantic, huh? All right. I don't really have anything for this. Have fun with the game and keep it silly, everybody. Thanks for having me, Posse. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Had a lot of fun.
Sillydog.
So.
Thank you.